The Leafs' first-round opponent in these playoffs is the Habs, the first time those two teams have met in a series since 1979.
Canadiens getting set. Here comes the shot. Score! It's over. Larry Robinson on a clean shot.
Montreal swept Toronto in 4 games that year on their way to the Stanley Cup. And of course, there's another Canadian series, Edmonton versus Winnipeg. What's the best way to talk hockey on the National? Easy. Bring in one of the stars of Hockey Night in Canada to give us some insight. Elliotte Friedman. Hi, Elliotte.
Hey, Ian, how you doing? I have to say to you, there's going to be a lot of Leaf fans who are going to be, by the time this series starts, just going to be going through old trigger warnings about that last series that you just mentioned.
Yeah, well, you know what? I was in high school. I'm a Habs fan, so I had a completely different emotional reaction to those clips. Now, I know you're in contact with players all the time and coaches and GMs,
Yeah.
and so fans are making so much of this Toronto-Montreal matchup. What about the teams?
I do think it is meaningful to them. Even if you're like not a Canadian like Austin Matthews, who's obviously a star player for the Toronto Maple Leafs, or you're a younger guy like Brendan Gallagher of the Montreal Canadiens, you understand what is at stake here. You understand how much is on the line. I think that if there's anything here anyone's disappointed about, Ian, it's just that we simply can't have fans right now. Can you imagine what those buildings would be like in Montreal and Toronto with the Maple Leafs and the Canadiens and their fans letting out their frustration at each other for the first time in more than 40 years? So I do think there's a recognition of what this is and how much it means, and they know that especially in a social media world, their fan bases will be all over it on Twitter.
But you're right. I've been in both those rinks during playoff games, and it is a shame we're not going to get that sort of electric feel in the arenas. Now, you're an NHL insider, so I wonder, let me challenge you, is there something you can tell us about this series that a casual fan and especially a non-fan might not know?
Well, I think that one of the things that's going to be interesting about this is how patient the coaches will be. For example, after game number 1, both these teams, even though you can only dress 18 skaters and 2 goalies, they have extra depth. They have players who are good enough to play who won't be in the game 1 lineup. And for example, one thing I'm curious about is the team that loses game 1, will that coach be patient with his roster? Or will he be making changes immediately? I think there's a lot of pressure on both of these teams to win this series for different reasons. And I'm very curious to see, Ian, is if someone gets down, will the coach have the calm to ride the emotional wave, or will there be pressure to say immediately, we have to make changes and some good players have to go out?
On another night, we'll give Winnipeg and Edmonton their due. Tonight, we only have about 30 seconds, but I got to tell you, one of my favorite things this year has been watching Connor McDavid, especially towards the end of the season. What are you looking for in that series?
In every game this year against Winnipeg, Ian, he had at least 2 points. You can't stop him, but you have to contain him. Winnipeg must do a better job of slowing him down or keeping the puck out of his hands, or else they won't win this series.
It is so nice having you on the National, and look forward to seeing you on Hockey Night in Canada. Thanks, Elliotte.
It's my pleasure, Ian, anytime.